which brings me to the next question. What are some of the most common copywriting mistakes or failures you see? And the answer to is failure to do all or any of the above things I've mentioned. That will screw you. Lack of research. Most copy that I see is inadequate because people haven't done their homework. You have to know everything about what you're selling and everything about the people that you're selling to. If you don't do that, you're lost. Too many unnecessary words. I talked about writing just now. Don't make the people that you're talking to have to work too hard. You should do the work so they don't have to do the work. So any unnecessary words, any waffle is pointless. And then not just too many unnecessary words, but too few necessary words. Very often people waffle, but they don't put in the things they should be putting in. They miss out things they should be putting in. And one example is a testimonial. People do not use testimonials nearly enough. And I gave the example of a testimonial just now in the copy that I was working on this morning. And I think I've done that one. And the seventh question was, what are the 3 most important things a direct marketer must know about the customer or prospective customer? I would just like to say that this I don't like this, a direct marketer must know. Any marketer must know. There is nothing peculiar about direct marketing that doesn't apply to every other kind of marketing. If you don't know as much as you can about your customer, how the hell do you expect to take money off them? So the 3 most important things to my mind, marketing is choice. Marketing is about choice. When you are conducting marketing, when you're sending somebody a message, you are really saying, I want you to choose me rather than someone else. So one of the things you want to know about the customer is, where else could they turn to get the same result? What else could they buy? What are we competing with? What else is in their mind? I want to know, what do they think about us? What do they know about us? I always ask this in my briefing document. Have you written to these people before? What's happened? What do you think they think about you? What do you think they think about your competitors? This is all to do with choice, yeah? Very, very important. And of course, going back to what I was saying before, what do they hope or fear for in their lives? Yeah? You want to know these people intimately. You want to know what drives them, what worries them, what excites them, what delights them, everything. You really got to try and get to know them as well as any human being can get to know another. Next question, how often should we be communicating with our customers or prospective customers? If I had £1 or $1 or €1 for every time somebody asked me that, I'd be much, much better off. And the answer is extremely simple. It isn't once a day, it isn't once a week, it isn't once a month, it isn't once a year. It's very, very simple. It's as often as you can think of something interesting to say to them. And I will tell you now, I don't know you, maybe I do know some of you. I don't care who you are. If you cannot find something interesting to say about what you sell every day, there's something wrong with you. Yeah? You're bored with your job, or you're bored with the product, or you don't understand the product. Personally, I communicate with my own list one way or another, several ways each week. I blog to them, I write emails to them, I do other things like Twitter and so on. I would suppose that every week maybe 40 messages or more come from me one way or another, Facebook as well. And they're just things that I find interesting. And it seems that other people find them interesting. I find that I have had a lot of people writing to me, to be honest, hundreds, saying, you know, I'll read anything you write. And that's not because I'm a brilliant writer, it's because I spend quite a lot of time thinking about what might interest them that relates to anything I'm selling or anything I'm thinking about. So it's not just when I say you should write as often as you find something interesting to say, not just something interesting to say about your product or your service, which may not interest them, but anything that you think is to do with them that might be linked, however vaguely, to your product or your service or to how they feel about you. Because one of the things you've got to do is to try and make people like you. Yeah, and you do that not by being a bore, but by being interesting. Very, very difficult question next, and I found it said, what are your favourite examples of charm that have been successfully used in marketing? Well, there are quite a few. I think the Meerkat campaign, which has been running, had a certain amount of charm. There was a campaign for Budweiser in America which revolved around the phrase, "What's up?" That had a certain amount of charm. But I'll give you an example of something which you'll never have heard of unless you've seen me speak, and even then you may not have heard of it. And it was a mailing that was written by a friend of mine in the Netherlands, and it was sent out to people who own cats, and it was to sell cat food. And I've got the letter in front of me, it had a leaflet in it, and it had a picture of a cat falling over, standing on his head, and he was saying, "Oh, that's not easy." And the letter said, "This letter is really meant for your cat, but since I don't know his name, I'm addressing it to you. Perhaps you know me. The name is Felix. I am the cat that made dancing a favourite sport amongst Dutch cats. You know, from television, from Ooh, that's terrific." They had a campaign that had a dancing cat on television. Yeah? And nowadays it appears that a lot of cats try to dance too, but not all of them manage to do very well. That is why I have prepared a cat placemat on which the proper steps are explained. It is a very nice placemat, if I may say so, and handy because not every cat has the finest of table manners, but never mention that to him. We have our pride too. Your cat is getting it free if blah, blah, blah. That has a lot of charm. I've shown that, many times when I've been doing talks, and it never fails to make people smile. That's what charm is all about. It's a very, very difficult thing to put a hand on, to put a handle on. I actually have shown, again, 3 or 4 times, maybe 3 times, in seminars when I've been talking about copy. I show a clip of David Ogilvy, who did a video for me once to sell the agency to Xerox. We wanted to get the Xerox account, and it's extraordinarily charming. And I show this example, and I actually say to people, now if you were to print out that short video, number one, it would be a perfect piece of copy, almost perfect, yeah? He does everything you need to do, and he's very, very charming. And the last question, my God, thank God for that. What was the catalyst for me to start doing speaking engagements and training people in direct marketing? Very interesting question. First of all, when I saw David Ogilvy, as I said, I thought, I wish I could do that. Secondly, I was always very interested in performers, in entertainment. I really would have liked to have been a stand-up comedian. I once saw the famous comedian Lenny Bruce, and he was extraordinary, and I went to bed that night and I couldn't sleep for thinking how wonderful it would be to be like that, which is probably not true because he killed himself. So I had this innate interest, and there's a big tradition of entertaining in my family. My father and 2 of my uncles and my grandfather all used to do a lot of performing on stage, and only amateur or semi-amateur, semi-professional. 2 of my daughters sing. One of my sons sings. This is proper singing for money. So there's a streak of the old show-off in our family. But when I was first asked to speak in 1977 to an audience of publishers, I was so frightened that I wanted to refuse, and my partners forced me to do it, and I had to dose myself with booze and tranquilizers to do it. And when I didn't realise the audience didn't actually kill me, I tried it again. I was frightened, very, very frightened all the time, and still am quite frequently. So it was quite difficult. The catalyst was that I was asked. Why did I do it apart from the fact that I was asked? Because I realised that, you know, at that time I had no money, my partners had no money. We had to make our agency succeed or die in the attempt. And I knew that to get publicity, we had to do these things. And I was a reasonably good speaker. And that was the same reason why we used to do house advertising for our agency when nobody else did, or hardly anybody else did. That was the reason why I used to write 5 articles a month for a very, very long time indeed, off and on for about 20 years. I'll probably write more than that now if you call a blog an article. But I realised I had to publicise myself. I realised I had to get to be known as somebody who was an expert on the subject. So that was why I started speaking. Why did I start training? Because you can't do it all yourself. Yeah. So our agency grew incredibly fast. It took us 3.5 years to become the biggest direct marketing agency in Britain. It wasn't very big. It was a small business industry then, but we did it by relentless self-promotion, and speaking was one of the things. But one of the problems is if you're growing very, very fast, you're always hiring new people. And so I was very keen on training. They used to have breakfast with Drayton every week in the agency. And then American Express started asking me to do training, and then all sorts of other people did. And actually I discovered that I love to teach people. And I have to say, to end this torrent of stuff, that I'm quite proud of the training I've done. I was writing an email the other day, and I'm going through some of the people I'd trained. Steve Harrison, who's won more Caples Awards than anyone, Cannes Golden Lion Awards than anyone else in direct marketing. Chris Jones, who, when I asked 15 years ago, had already won 153 awards, I think it was, for art direction. There's David Ogilvy, who's the creative chairman of Droga 5, which is one of the hottest, if not the hottest, agency in Australia. There's another guy who's the creative director of Saatchi in Asia, and has been voted the best creative director in Asia. There are lots of them, and I'm proud of it. Oh, Rory Sutherland, who's apparently one of the 25 most influential media people in the world. They all started with me. But I'm an absolute pain in the arse to work for, so if you're looking at this, you've had a lucky escape.